ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Sports betting isn't a gut call. It's a market with prices that move. WagerBird shows you what to bet, when to bet it, and how the line is changing live. Every pick is time-stamped. Every result is tracked. Start betting like an analyst with WagerBird.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. Yes, I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome back to the closing bell edition of the Odds Couple, myself and Scotty. Re-entry Monday. Baseball has been very good to us back here in Boston and Cape Cod. The headliner, very simply, BAKERS dozen for the Red Sox, now 13 games in a row, 2 games over 500. If the playoffs started today, yes, they have a 1.5 game lead in the third wild card spot. In come the Orioles, who have won 7 in a row. I saw a tweet or something. It's like the second or third time in history. I mean, you got 2 teams that are just absolutely in fuego matching up today in Fenway Park. Baz versus Tolley currently at the Circa. Good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Benson, Mr. Stevens. The Red Hot Red Sox minus 155 and grab the Orioles plus 139 with an 8.5. There looks like maybe a slight move to 9 in the primary market, but we'll sit tight on that. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, wagerbird.com. Mr. Blaine Davis every Wednesday here at 10:05 as we start to lean towards the financial market and sports investing. He's got an amazing platform. Head on over to wagerbird.com. If you're going to sign up today, use the promo code WELCOME20 to purchase some gems, some birds, some points. We're going to be doing Educational Wednesday, WagerBird Wednesdays throughout the rest of this year. Plus, keep your fingers crossed, we could be doing other segments throughout the week as well. So first and foremost, let's bring them in. Hey, listen, promise you this, guys. I will not make this show all about the Red Sox, but I really want to hear Scotty's point of view right now. So let's bring him in, Mr. Scott Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, man, how you doing? I think you're probably looking pretty smiley, happy there in Boston these days.
Scotty, I put the tweet out 2 days ago. I put it out again this morning. I like most true fans, don't have words. I listen, if you ask Chad Tracy, if you ask Breslow, if you ask John Henry, listen, did they expect this? No. I don't think they expected to be 15 games under 500. And then, oh, by the way, yeah, we've won now 13 in a row. There's no duck boats, parades, or anything. What it really does is kind of murky the trade deadline. I guess you're going to at least have to be buyers / we're holding, and anyone expecting Chapman, Sonny Gray, or anyone else, you might want to look elsewhere at this point.
Well, yeah, there's roughly 3 weeks, I think, now until the end of was it October or August 3rd or something.
There's 2
so
weeks.
maybe it's only 2 weeks. So they're not going to sell. And my opinion would be is that even if they don't make it and they don't get to where everybody wants them to go, I think it's very much proven that this team can pitch, not only from the starting rotation level, but in the back end as well. Where they need support is and they need to score runs. Now, I will say that in this stretch of games that they're winning, they're scoring 5 runs a game, and because they're scoring 5 runs a game, they're winning these games because the pitchers are really good. So if they were to have support on the offensive side and they were able to get some support, even if they don't get there, that's the answer, because the truth is they're only going to get better pitching wise when Crochet comes back. I'm not sure where Conley Early's at in terms of what he's going to be as a pitcher. I don't know if he's going to be like a third or fourth guy, or if he's going to be a pretty good guy. Bennett's showing some very good stuff. He's not necessarily a big strikeout guy, but that doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, there's a lot of good pitchers out there that I shouldn't say that. There's several good pitchers out there, not a lot. There's several good pitchers that can get outs, and they don't strike everybody out, that kind of thing. So the name of the game today on the mound, it's 3 true outcomes. That's all it is. It's strikeouts, walks, and home runs. You don't give anybody walks, you don't give up any home runs, and you strike out everybody. You don't need your defense. So when you have pitchers that can do those things, you don't necessarily even have to have a huge offense, and they're proving that. Now, that said, to go to the next few steps to, capture pennants and titles and do all kinds of World Series and stuff like that, they need an offense. Now, I don't know, to me, you can role model what the Nationals do to a degree, in a sense that how many superstars do they really have? I mean, James Wood's a pretty good player. I know everybody likes C.J. Abrams, but he's not even always in the lineup for them. So and then they have Meade, and they have whatever that guy's name is, Luis Garcia, and stuff like that. You can get those guys. Those guys aren't like the hardest things to find. You just got to give them a chance to play. There's a lot of those kind of guys in the minor leagues that if you find them and make a deal or two and get them in there and let them go on your team, trust me, they're going to be better than your Marcelo Myers and I don't know whatever shortstop the Yankees want to put out there, or stuff like that. Instead of hanging with those guys, and you can role model that instead of like trying to make a deal and get Hunter Goodman from the Rockies and go, hey, we're going to bring over this catcher and it's going to cost you everything you got, that kind of thing. So I don't know how they construct that or what that really looks like for them, or if they're going to go all in or what. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's interesting to start hearing what these pundits are saying out there. Like everything I turn on anymore is, your favorite closer in the world. Everybody wants Mason Miller, and the Padres haven't decided 100% that they're going to give him up, but it sounds like they're gonna. And if they do, I'm like, well, the first thing I see is, well, Yankees are going to go get him. Shit, everybody's going to go get him. So
let me interject right there. Anyone that wants Mason Miller, it's going to cost you $186 million. And they're saying, well, that's not Mason Miller's contract. I got you. It's going to cost you Xander Bogaerts. So whatever deal you make with the Padres, it's simple. They want out of that contract like last year with the Red Sox and Devers. So if you get them to eat 30, 40, 50% of Xander, you get Mason Miller. You are not putting together a package big enough to just get Mason Miller on your own.
Well, some of these guys can do that. I mean, these minor league systems that some of these teams have, they can do that. But I don't know what, like what's San Diego really looking for? They need everything. They need starting pitching because they don't have any. Their bullpen's been overused to the point now where it's kind of an also ran bullpen, and they don't have an offense. So that they need every single player you can get. So if you could give Mason Miller up, and I don't know, you could get a team's, I don't know, top 4 or 5 prospects. That's probably good enough. And that's probably what they would do. They would take a package deal like that. Now, I don't know if a team would be willing to give up their top 5 prospects, but whatever. I mean, it's an interesting thought. My thought to the whole thing is just it makes no sense. Oh, the Yankees are in. Okay, well, so is any team on any level. They're all in on Mason Miller. Every single team is going to be in on Mason Miller. So don't single out the Yankees as the only team in on Mason Miller, for God's sakes. Every team is going to be in on Mason Miller. It's going to be, who gives up what and what they want to do. And it's I don't know. If you look at the standings as they sit today, and you look at the American League standings, and you look in the American League East, I think that the division leader is now 1.5 games. If you look at the Central, I think the division leader is 1 game, and if you look at the West, I think the division leader is a half a game. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean these other teams have a chance, or does that mean some of they're like what happens if some of these other teams make a move, or some of these other guys get healthy, or are they just trying to make a run at it this year? Can think about it this way: can you beat the Dodgers? Any of them? So if you can't beat the Dodgers, and you're going into the World Series, you're going to get slaughtered. So the point, and like, what are the Dodgers doing right now? They're saying, well, Ohtani's got his knees a little rusty and cranky. We're not going to let him pitch. It sounds to me like they're just going to bring Blake Snell back in and let him go, or Glasnow, or somebody like that. They've been just holding guys for I don't know how long, and they got, I don't know, they got a 16-game lead or some stupid number like that. Where is that? I got it up someplace. There it is. Nope, that's not it. There it is. They are ahead. Oh, that's the wild card. Go here. They are ahead 11.5 games on the Diamondbacks right now. Just coast all the way through, Kyle Tucker's making them mad. Okay, we'll sit your ass for a while. Hernandez, who came back, Teoscar Hernandez came back from being injured, not been playing well. We want you to figure it out. You're going to get in there and bat. I saw a report today that said, we're not worried about Smith right now. We know his neck hurts, and we have no idea what's going to happen to him. But Rushing's holding it down. He'll hold it down until Smith comes in. We're not going to go get a catcher. We got 2 catchers. So it's like they can do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. They've got enough pitchers. Even Roki Sasaki didn't look too terribly bad when he pitched against the Yankees the last time. I think some of that's normal. The Yankees sometimes get the best effort from some of these guys that's never pitched against them before. So, we beat the Yankees, that kind of thing. But, hey, PB, how you doing? But the point basically of all of this is the Red Sox have made a good run. How long the run goes, I'm not sure. It's not our job to figure that out. It's what do they do to support the team now that they've made the run, and or are they really going to go for it, or are they going to quasi go for it? Like, I don't think they're going to give up anybody. They're not. I don't think that would be the smartest thing for them. But I think maybe they make a couple ancillary moves or do some different things, get a few offensive pieces in there. But the other thing I will say, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on anybody in Boston, I don't. these runs, when they're over, you might start to see, obviously, the regression back to who they really are. They're a team that can pitch. They're going to have to win those kind of games, 3-1, like the Brewers, for God's sakes. The Brewers just beat the Marlins 3 times in a row and had walk-off wins 3 straight times. Yesterday they hit a 3-run home run to win the game. They're not scoring runs. They're not hitting, but they're still winning. And I think Boston can do that. Now, maybe they can get a little bit better because they can spend some money if they wanted to, and they could bring in some offensive bats. The problem that you're going to run into is what offensive bats are you going to get, and how much of an improvement actually is it, and do they fit in with that unique clubhouse, because they're winning and they're still not the greatest offensive team in the world, even though they're doing pretty well right now. And then you bring in a new guy into that mix, or maybe you bring 3 new guys into that mix. Sometimes that jumbles things up and blows that up. So I'd be real careful. But I think they could run to whatever they want. If they want to run as a wild card team, great. If they want to try to win the division, they're going to need some help, but they can still get there. They've gotten a lot of help, and part of it's their own that they've created. I mean, beating the Rays 4 times, that's a pretty good, hey, we just gained 4 games on the Rays. That's pretty good. They did the same thing to the Yankees. They're so in terms of moving up in the division, they've helped themselves a lot by doing those things. Not only all the other teams they beat, but it helps when the Yankees kind of are in some kind of funk. They're not hitting or doing a whole bunch, and the Rays are now in it too. So they can continue to move. And now Baltimore is doing the same damn thing. They got 7 straight games. So it's an interesting division that way. Whereas like the division in the American League West, for example, nobody seems to want to win. Seattle keeps losing games, and then they'll win a couple. And the same thing for Texas. They'll win a couple games and then lose a couple. And then Houston gets swept, but that kind of puts them where they're supposed to be. And then they'll go win a few more games because Jordan Alvarez hits a bunch of home runs, and then they'll win. And then you'll be like, well, maybe they can go. Who wants to win these divisions? Like, who wants to win the Central? I know the Tigers do. They're gonna keep working their butt off to get there. They got to hit, and we'll see what happens. But the way my numbers look on these things right now, as opposed to quote the real numbers, I got New York, Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Baltimore. But Baltimore's getting ready to pass Toronto. They're not. Baltimore is in nowhere, shape, or form going to catch any of the other teams. They're power rating wise, they're not good enough. Their offense is just not good enough, and they've pitched better as of late, but they're just not a good offense. And then I got Detroit, and then Cleveland, and then the White Sox. But the White Sox aren't that far behind Cleveland right now, so I think in my world, I think you're going to end up with Detroit, the White Sox. Minnesota's going to, I think, be a seller, so they might be able to get rid of some of their guys. They might not. They're not that far out of the real world playoff run, but they need pitchers to line up, and they got one today, Joe Ryan. Taj Bradley's pitched pretty well, but you can't throw Zebby Matthews out there and expect to win a bunch of games to make the playoffs. And then I don't know what Seattle's doing, but I got Seattle pretty far ahead of Texas. Texas, they got a weird situation going on. DeGrom is their best pitcher, and then he's pretty good, but he's not great. And then you run into, well, Evaldi can pitch when he's not pitching against games that matter. And then you got Gore. Well, statistically, Gore's really good, but he's not performed that well. And then Leiter's hurt, and I think Rocker's now hurt. So you've got all kinds of weird Quantrill's pitching for them. You can't make the playoffs if you've got Cal Quantrill on the mound. You know, that's not going to happen unless you're scoring, I don't know, 7 runs a game. Look at the A's. The A's can't pitch at all. And if they even, when their offense does go, they still get beat, 12-11 or some stupid number like that. So I don't know what's going to happen in some of these divisions, but my power rating numbers pretty much have it laid out. It says New York, and then Detroit and Seattle are all going to win the divisions. And then when it comes to wild cards, it's Boston, Tampa Bay, and Texas. I would agree with most of that. That rules out all those goofy teams in the Central. All those teams would be, the White Sox wouldn't make it, Minnesota, Cleveland, all those teams would go to the wayside. And it is what it is, But a deal or two here and there can change all of that because they're all so bunched up together. They're all close. But I don't have them that close, to be honest. When you think about Tampa, I would have Tampa Bay, Texas at 506 winning percentage, so that's 82 wins, and the next closest team would be Cleveland at 79 wins. Well, that's 3 games behind. I don't think that's not real close. It takes a lot to move a team three games. Of course, don't say that to the Red Sox. They just moved like 11. So, but my point being is that stuff happens that way, and we'll every team kind of go through. The Dodgers aren't playing well. You know what I mean? They're not scoring any runs. Their offense, the Dodgers offense, where's my numbers? Blah, 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 blah. The Dodgers offense, there they are. They ranked 30th in baseball. 30, the Dodgers. They're 29th in isolated power. They're scoring 3.3 runs a game. That's not very good. You can't win a lot of games that way. And they really aren't. The Dodgers aren't the Dodgers right now, but they're on cruise control sort of. They're resting. They're still on All-Star break or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. But we'll see what it looks like against the Phillies. I think it's kind of a bad matchup for them tonight, but that doesn't, who knows what Christopher Sanchez is doing. Guy goes out with 8 games, no runs.
I think, unfortunately, due to the Red Sox run, due to the Detroit run, the trade deadline is going to be, I don't want to say a bust, as you said, the ancillary moves. There'll be some small moves here and there. The biggest one might be from Colorado and the catcher Hunter Goodman. Maybe the Padres figure out there's no takers for Bogarts, and they'll take offers on Mason Miller. We'll see. I don't think anyone's running the window to get Lindor, yada, yada, yada. But again, just looking at the expanded standings, right now, Tampa, White Sox, and Texas are the division leaders on July 20th. If I pulled this up a month from now, Scotty, I would guarantee, I'm going to use the word guarantee, 2 of those 3 are not the divisional winners. And I'd probably go on record to say 1 month from now to the day, all 3 of those teams would not be the divisional winners. But with the Red Sox run, again, Chapman off the board, Sonny Gray, who's pitching as good as anyone in the majors right now. I'll say not named Miz, but he's like 10-1 his last 11. I mean, since coming back off an injury there. And the National League, again, I think we've talked about it since the pre-flop. I'll say it again. Obviously, Dodgers are going to win it. I think Milwaukee will find a way to hold on. Do the Braves make those moves to hold off the Phillies? That's the only one there. And looking at the wild card, I've said it all year. Okay, it's the Cubs if they don't catch the Brewers. It's the Phillies if they don't catch the Braves. And this pesky Cardinals team's holding on for dear life with the Marlins. I think when the dust settles, you're going to find the Pirates find a way to get in there, Scotty.
Yeah, my power ratings have the Pirates in there. The Pirates can hit, man. They can hit, and they got pitchers, so they just got to close out games. That's a team that theoretically could go get a better relief pitcher that they could a closer type that could help them and not give up much. Like they don't have to. There's several available guys. They don't have to have Mason Miller, for example. They could get, whoever else is available, but they could use that as opposed to running out Gregory Soto and Danny Santana. That's who they got, and run those two guys out there and hope that they get outs. If they got a seasoned veteran guy that can go get outs, then they're going to be in a pretty good spot because they're scoring tons of runs. And I don't want to say Skeens is Skeens, but he's going to keep you in every game theoretically that he pitches. I mean, there might be some off times when he gets really shelled, but he pitched pretty good the last time he was out. Braxton Ashcraft, I've been on him all year. And we'll see what it looks like against the Yankees tonight. But I think he's going to be – I think he's the right side tonight. I didn't bet it, but I think he's the right side. But, as all this stuff – and they got young kids you never heard of, like, Esmeralda Valdez. Oh, well, Jesus, have you seen his numbers? He's only played like 30 games. He's got 11 home runs and an OPS over 1,000. So they're a team that – in the end is going to be there because they can pitch. They just need back end support. So maybe, the back end, I don't think they're going to go spend a lot of money, but if you spend a little bit of money and you brought in some kind of closer, that would help them. Obviously, don't go get Camilo Deval or somebody like that. But, you got to get somebody that's better than what you have now. And that puts a capper on them. Like St. Louis, right? They're going through this they can't hit cycle. Well, I think they were overcooking their offense anyway. So Weatherholt's been great for them. Herrera's been great for them. Burleson's been great for them. But those guys, they're not superstars for a reason, and Weatherholt's brand new. So that means they're going to come back to earth a little bit. And they don't have pitchers. I mean, if Palante is their best pitcher, or Dustin May, or McGreevy, those guys aren't like the best, group of guys to go out there and capture anything. So I expect them to drop off. Pittsburgh to kind of pass them. I don't think Pittsburgh will catch Chicago, but I do think they'll make the final wild card spot. I don't think that I don't really care. Here's how I think. I think Philadelphia will catch Atlanta, unless Atlanta does something at the trade deadline that helps them. You got to remember, we talk about Atlanta. They're all offense, and if they don't hit, they don't win. They have Chris Sale. Who else do they have? Starting pitcher? Any? Grant Holmes, Bryce Elder. Waldrop, Richie, Lopez, Perez. Start just throwing guys out there. They'll go. They might go get Carrasco. But my point being is they don't have any pitchers, so they could certainly use one or two guys that can pitch and help them. And if they were to do that, that might hold off Philadelphia. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Philadelphia will eventually surpass them, and Atlanta will get in as a wild card. My numbers are pretty close, but it still has Atlanta in the lead, and then it has power ranking the National League. Obviously, Dodgers are first, and then I would have Milwaukee as number 2, and then I would have Atlanta. And then the Cubs, and then Philadelphia, and then Pittsburgh, with Miami and St. Louis kind of nosing around out there.
Interesting. Great slate tonight. Sheehan versus Sanchez tonight. San Diego, Atlanta. Sears and Elder expect some fireworks there. the Miz versus Peralta in Milwaukee. They'll be interesting there. The Nationals, just what they need to head over to Colorado there. Ryan at Cleveland against Bibby, whatever you want to call him. Cease against your slumping Tampa Bay. I think you're alive today, even though the numbers don't say they're saying Cease is going to shut him down. I wouldn't be surprised if he woke up in that game there. Baz versus Tolley, big advantage with DeGrom over Fetty.
So let me ask you a question about the Baz and Tolley line. What's the number? It's almost 150, right?
Yeah, here's the real key. The opening number was 141. The Publix pushed it to 155, 160. Again, you don't step in in front of 13-game winning streaks. I'll just say pre-flop. Pre-flop.
So
it's an Orioles number.
So my number on that game was you guys might laugh at this number. My number was Boston minus 128, 130.
That's the number. That's the number. And they just priced it a number, like I said, 141. I saw some 39, 38s early last night. I knew where they were going with this, and I knew the public would be all over. Tolley's a firecracker. You see him on when he's not pitching, fired up, jacked up. This clubhouse is electric right now. They're bought in. They believe. And the crowd's going crazy. And the one team that we've been waiting for all year is finally woken up, and it's Baltimore. And they'll start slow, and they'll hang around. And then the good thing for us is our back end has been good. But my point is, Whitlock and Chapman, I'd breathe a lot easier, 3, 4, 5-run lead. Chapman almost blew the game 2 nights ago. You're right. Vegas is right. We'll see what happens when the dust settles. I'm telling you, I'm not on this game at all, and I'm not.
I'm not either. I think that the way the computer says, "Hey, Boston's going to win this game." Now I get that, but I'm not paying this number. I'm not paying the number that I don't think is correct, and I also think that number reflects a thought that Baltimore's not competitive in this game, and I think that's incorrect as well. I think Baltimore is pretty competitive in this game. I know Tolley's pitching and all that stuff, but what if I told you that Tolley's projected WAR number is 3? That's pretty damn good. 3. Well, so is Shane Baz. Shane Baz is a 3. So theoretically, you're pretty even on the mound. And I know we've talked about how good Boston's bullpen's been. Nobody talks about Baltimore's bullpen. Baltimore's bullpen, I don't want to say is as elite as Boston's, because Boston's is the best in the business right now over the last what I look at. But I would tell you that Baltimore is top 5. So you got 2, and they won these games against Houston with their bullpen help. So it's going to come down to offense. And if it were to come down to offense, I'm going to go with the Baltimore side on offense, even though Baltimore can't hit either. But they have situations that they can produce runs. But that's what Boston's been doing as of late. So I don't know. It's to me, this is almost a coin flip game that's minus 150. And I sit there and I go, I wonder what Jeff thinks about this line because my thought is it's way off course.
No, it's almost like that. We remember what we saw last. And again, you listen, if you've been riding the Orioles during this winning streak, go grab the plus money and have some fun tonight. If you've been riding the Red Sox on this 13, and there's no one in the world that's rode them all 13 games. My point is, if you've been riding them, hey, you want to dig in and lay the lumber, go ahead. Good luck. But you're right. The number says it's a Baltimore game. And the funny thing is, Baltimore comes in And if they stop the streak and then they win again tomorrow, they're basically now even with the Red Sox. Now Baltimore's got the third wild card. So huge slate tonight. We're 35 minutes in already. I'm bringing you to the forefront. Go to work, sir.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to bring that up only because I didn't. That was my thought was this line's out of control. You know what I mean? Like, this is silly. So tonight's games, I think that, you know, when you look at these games and the matchups, you've got some interesting spots. I think that there's a lot of traps out here tonight. That's my opinion. My computer and stuff likes some pretty solid favorites. That's what it likes. And I'll talk about those. I didn't bet tonight. So I'm passing on the whole night. But certain spots that came up, one of them, where's my sheet here? One of them my computer likes is Minnesota tonight. It likes Joe Ryan, and I understand if you go look at Joe Ryan is been pitching very well. His game score for the season is a 57. His game score for his last 7 is a 56. It's really good numbers. But I think some of this stuff gets lost in certain things. So I always talk about XFIP and Sierra, right? So XFIP is the predicted number of FIP, fielding independent pitching. So when I talked about the 3 true outcomes, that is strikeouts, walks, and home runs. That's all that's in FIP. That's it. That's the number. And then it's showing you it in like an ERA form. So XFIP is the predicted measure of that. Well, so it's going to look then at walks and strikeouts and home runs, right? So if you look at it, Joe Ryan, 29% strikeouts, almost, when it's in the good, it's almost over 30, which is, you know, dramatically an improvement. But so he's right there. Walks are at an average number. His home runs are 0.78. So that's why he has a super XFIP number. His Sierra number, which is a similar number, but it's going to be based off of an advanced ERA type number. So it's going to look at balls in play and where things were hit and a bunch of other stuff. So he's got an XFIP number, 343, a Sierra number of 332. His number is 335, his run value score. And then Bybee is a 490. Same metrics. So it's showing then he's got a 1.5 run edge for Minnesota. My computer's going to eat that up. It's going to go, this is great. You need to bet on them because they're a 1.5 run advantage. And that's true. Nothing I'm saying is false. But here's why, let's say, I don't want to say this egotistically. So there's guys on TV that you can listen to that's going to go, XERA is this, FIP number is that, blah, blah, blah. They don't even know how it's calculated. They don't know what it is, what it means. And I just told you all about it. That's why you use a guy like me instead of a guy like them. I know that's not egotistical now, so that's terrible. But the point I'm trying to make here is there's caution to the wind about Bybee. I just said he was 1.5 runs worse. But if you take this out and you look at his batting average against, his WHIP number, and his BABIP number, okay? So these are balls in play categories. These are guys on base categories. They're elite. They're fantastic. So they're better than Joe Ryan's. So how does he have a 1.5 run edge worse? It's because the predicted measures really look at strikeouts and home runs, and they look at walks. That's a big part of those numbers. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just remember that in Bybee's case, he's got an average walk rate, but his strikeout rate's only 13.9. That's mediocre bad. And then his home run rate's 1.5. So his swing strike percentage is very low. Balls are in play. You really want to bet on teams that can put balls in play. And when you got a pitcher that allows that to happen, but on the vice versa side of that, he's a 217 batting average, a 107 whip rate, and a 212 BABIP rate. Those are all elite numbers. So, and then his RE24 score is 322 to the positive, and Joe Ryan's just barely negative, 0.51 negative. I can't go back in here and go and say, well, Joe Ryan's going to dominate in this game. He pitched against them before, so I looked it up. He got a game score 60 something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's like 65 or something. Joe Ryan against Cleveland. So I'm like, well, Bibee then must have pitched against Minnesota, and he did. He had a game score 67. That's a coin flip on the mound. That's what it is. It's a coin flip on the mound. It's in Cleveland, and then you have a bullpen, and Cleveland takes the bullpen edge, and then you have hitters and batters. And I know that we always like to talk about how good Minnesota is and good on offense. They rank 20th on offense right now. They're not hitting. And then Cleveland, even though they're kind of stagnant-y offense than what they are, they're 16th. So I can't support this play. So anyway, I thought I was going to be on Joe Ryan today. I'm not. I think looking deeper into the game, those are the kind of things that I know if you are in my Substack and you get my data, it's just numbers. That's what you see. All right. But if you know how to read them and what they tell you, then that's how you put it together to get a blended outcome at the end. And in my opinion, my computer isn't wrong. It's predicting, hey, he's going to be the better pitcher today. In fact, he's got it 4-3. That's what they say, 4-3, and that might be right. That could very well happen today. I saw a report that Byron Buxton might be playing today. If he's going to play, that helps them. So we'll see. We'll see what that all transpires and what it looks like as it comes out in the end. But my opinion is that yes, Joe Ryan's a better pitcher than Bibee, but Bibee is competitive enough that I think this game's going to be closer. And I don't want to pay the price. Jeff, we'll talk about this Ashcraft game. Computer says Pittsburgh 6-5. I don't think they're going to get that many runs in this game, but it's possible. Weathers has been probably better than you think. Ashcraft has been good. Ashcraft has been better before his last 7 starts or so. He's a game score 50 over his last 7 games. That's just an average old pitcher. So I don't like that. And if you look at Weathers even worse than that. He's a 44. So I think Weathers might be getting tired, one of those kind of things. He's a 51 on the season, where Ashcraft is a 57. But numbers-wise, even though Ashcraft has fantastic run value score, so does Weathers. Weathers is only a 0.4 behind him. That's not a bettable edge on the Pirates. So then you look at, well, where's the RE24 score? Well, Ashcraft's been great all year. Well, he hasn't been in the last 7 games. He's a negative 0.27, and Weathers is a -3. So certainly Weathers is worse. Weathers is worse in almost every category, but it's only by a little bit. And then offensively, you've got Pittsburgh ranked 7th. That's a good offense. And their isolated power is 4th. But the Yankees, they rank 10th. The Yankees are scoring 4 runs a game and ranked 10th. So that means they're not capitalizing on opportunities very well. And the Pirates, they are 7th with almost 6 runs a game. I like that. That's something you feel like you can bet on. But bullpen, they're not close to what the Yankees are. So you're going to count on Braxton Ashcraft to go in there and shut down the Yankees offense, which is questionable right now because he's an average pitcher right this second. And then you're going to have Pirates hold on to that. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know that it's not. Depends on how the game kind of goes and flows, and it depends on if the Pirates hit. So Ashcraft, I said, no, I'm not going to go there either. I thought it was a good thought, but it's just there's too many things involved in that game. The Tampa Bay game that Jeff's talking about, my computer loves it. Wants Dylan Cease, wants you to bet all over Dylan Cease. And Dylan Cease is at ProfitX, he was minus 155. So I'm not sure exactly where he's at elsewhere, but we're looking at a score of 6-2. So I'm not going to bet 155, 160 on Toronto. Now, if it was the Phillies or if it was the Dodgers, a team that I felt like might be able to score some runs, I might want to try to cover 2. I'm not going to try to cover 2 runs with Toronto. They can't score at all. So that then means I got to pay minus 150. Well, I don't really want to pay minus 150. They actually might lose this game. So when I was looking at the game and I saw that it says 6-2, I'm like, well, that makes sense because Dylan Cease has a 2-run edge on the mound. And that makes sense because Nick Martinez is not a great pitcher. He's just got a big RE24 score. So he gets guys out when he has to. He controls the situation and doesn't allow a lot of runs. And he doesn't allow blow-up innings for sure. And then when you look at what's going on offensively, Tampa Bay's got an edge there. They score 3 runs above an average offense, and the Blue Jays are 2 runs worse. Well, that's a 5-run gap. Well, the pitcher was only 2 runs. Now we're not covering the game, and then bullpen rise. The Rays have a better bullpen. So I'm sitting there going, I don't want to bet this, so I'm not. So that was another spot where I sat there and go, well, I don't think that's going to work. And then we have the next one is the Phillies game. My computer likes Sanchez to win the game 4-3. Doesn't necessarily, obviously you don't have to bet the minus 1.5. But I don't trust Sanchez at this point. He didn't look good in the All-Star game. He got beat up in his last game out. Where is it? Well, he didn't get beat up. He threw a 55. But do you know that for a guy that had, 8 or 9 straight starts, whatever it was, with no runs allowed, and his game scores were in like the 70s, 80s, and all that stuff, he's a game score 60. That's what he is today for the season. But for his last 7 starts, he's a game score 47. 47. That's not good over 7 starts. And he got beat up in some of those games. He's got 1 or 2 good starts in there. I don't know if he's going to have a 1 or 2 good start against the Dodgers tonight. Dodgers can hit. So we'll see. They aren't, but they can. And make matters worse, I would be way more comfortable on this game if the Phillies were hitting. The Phillies aren't hitting either. The Phillies batters are right now scoring less runs than the Dodgers. They score 3.1 runs a game. Dodgers 3.3 runs a game. The Dodgers are 29th in offense. The Phillies are 27th. Okay, so whose offense is going to hit tonight? I don't know. They're both bad. But if you swing it out, the Phillies are just that much a little bit better. The Dodgers are 11.5 runs worse than an average offense, and the Phillies are 8-8. Well, 8.8 runs. So that's pretty close, but they're both bad. And if I had to take my choice, I'd rather have an ace on my side than not. And the Phillies do play better at home than they do on the road. I'm just not gonna go there. It's still minus 130, 136 or more, depending on where you're at. Talk about this Boston game and kind of broke it down already. If somebody wants me to break it down deeper, I will. But the thought is, I think Boston's going to win. I think Tolley's a better pitcher than Baz, even though the numbers are 3-3 and projected WAR and that kind of stuff. Metrically, numbers, data, Tolley's a little better. I don't necessarily like Baltimore's offense right this minute compared to Boston's, But in the big picture, I like Baltimore's offense better than Boston's, but not necessarily right now. And I know Baltimore's bullpen's been pretty good. There is no better bullpen than Boston's. So I sit there and go, well, there's a lot of reasons to bet on Boston, but I also don't necessarily trust it 100%. I don't like the number I got to pay either. I think it's way out of line when I think it should be about 130 or something, and it's 150. I'm not paying 20 cents to bet Boston. The game that's really weird is San Diego and Atlanta. My computer loves San Diego tonight, and I get it, but this is Sears, right? Well, okay, it's against Elder. Do you guys know how bad Elder's been in his last 7 starts? Let me just swing this out here so you can hear his numbers. Where is he? His game score, his last one is a 23. Well, that's bad. But his game score prior to that was a 29. His game score prior to that was a 24. So that's the worst one. Well, not yet. His game score prior to that was a 12. And then he had a 60 and a 57 and then a 23. So he's had 5 of his last 7 starts. They've not been below average. They've been ridiculous, bad numbers. So is he going to pitch like that tonight? Well, numbers say he should. He's a pummel candidate pitcher tonight. So then you got to say, well, that really kind of says, hey, Padres, right? Let's go bet Padres. Well, Padres have a pitcher, Sears. His game scores a 44 on the season. He's only made 4 starts. And he's been, let's say it this way, he's been an average pitcher. He's not below average to the degree that, he's throwing 30s and stuff. But he's just an average pitcher. He can pitch really well at times, but he's not a dynamo. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's a balls in play kind of guy. And then offensively, Atlanta's woke up a little bit. Their offense is ranked right now 4th. But this is where data kind of can get confusing. San Diego scored 19 runs yesterday, so that inflates their numbers. They rank 3rd right now. They were kind of middle of the pack, and now they get a big boost. So maybe that carries forward. Maybe that helps San Diego destroy Elder. Maybe this is an over kind of game instead of picking a side. I can't bet on Elder. There's no way, and I can't bet on the other guy either. So this game gets skipped by San Francisco, Kansas City. If you want me to break that down, let me know. I'm not going to break it down. This is McDonald and Waka. Waka's the better pitcher. San Francisco's the better offense. And then you have to figure out who's better in the bullpen because both of them are god awful. So then you sit there and go, I don't like it. So Mets and Milwaukee. So my computer obviously likes Milwaukee. It wants me to bet it on the run line. It says it's 89% chance they're going to cover 2 runs. Now, here's how I kind of viewed that. And I said this in the pregame. Milwaukee just played Miami. They beat them 3 times. They had to come from behind in the tail end of each game, the 8th and 9th inning, to win the game. I'm not suggesting that Mazeroski is going to get beat up. That's not what I'm suggesting. But if Milwaukee's offense isn't that good, then how are they going to cover 2 runs? And that's where I run into some of these problems sometimes when a computer comes and just dumps stuff at you. Well, Peralta's not been good. He's been really pretty bad. His RE24 score is ridiculously bad. It's -12. So that means he gives up blow-up innings. And that may be what happens. Maybe in the first 2 innings he does pretty good, and then the 3rd and 4th inning, maybe they score 3 and 4 runs and it's 7-0 and the game's over. Maybe that was what happens to get their runs tonight. But I don't like the Mets bullpen right now, and I certainly don't like Peralta. But I have this gut feeling or just bad thoughts that I don't want to go in there and spend -1.5 on a team that really struggled against Miami's, and the lineups were kind of resting guys and doing stuff to get them on. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight. So I left that one alone in terms of betting on it. My computer likes this game. Texas against the White Sox, 6-4 Texas. Now I will say Texas has been a lot better on offense lately than maybe I even give them credit for. Langford's back, so he's been a catalyst. He's been helping them. So we'll see what that looks like. But Fetty's just, a veteran guy that goes out there and he doesn't throw super hard, but he's not really a soft tosser either. I mean, he breaks a plane of glass if he throws. He gets spots right. He only throws 4 or 5 innings in these games that he pitches, and then they take him out, so they don't expose him. And because they don't expose him, he actually does pretty good where you might think he doesn't. He's like a game score, I don't know, 50, something like that, close to it. Where is he? Fetty. Game score 50 over his last 7. He doesn't always start these games, so sometimes he's a bulk guy. Most of the time he's a bulk guy. But he's a game score 50, and he's a game score 46 on the season when they thought he was a starting pitcher and he got crushed. So he's only throwing 4 and 5 innings, and then their bullpen's been pretty good. So they just aren't hitting offensively, and Texas is. So you got to go and say, well, this game is minus 160 or more. I'm not paying that, so you got to pay. Well, am I going to win by 2? Maybe. This is another one of those spots where you go, am I comfortable with this team covering 2? Well, you're only comfortable with that if the starting pitcher can hold them to 1 or 2 runs. That's what you're betting. When you bet a run line at minus 1.5, so you got to win by 2, your pitcher better not allow more than 2 runs, because then your team can score 4 and win the game. Because it's 4-1 and you win, or it's 4-2 and you win. Well, DeGrom has this tendency to give up home runs, especially early in the game. If somebody gets a single and a home run, well, there's your 2 runs, and he'll probably give up 1 more. So there's 3. I don't bet him that way. I bet him when the money line is good enough that I can get value on it and bet it. So I didn't bet this game either, and that's why I didn't bet it. This game's an interesting game. This is the Detroit Tigers and the Chicago Cubs. Flaherty's been as good as you can get in pitching recently, and he's going to face Tyon. Tyon's coming off the disabled list. His first start off the disabled list. That means go attack him. But the Cubs' offense is pretty good right now, and Detroit's is kind of average right now. I don't know how long this thing with Flaherty is going to last, so I just kind of stayed off of it. I don't like Tyon, but one of the things that Tyon does do, he does get a little more swing and miss than you think. Obviously, he's not a big strikeout guy, but he'll get some swing and miss. And he's an old veteran, wily guy that finds ways to keep his team in the game. And Detroit is an offense that typically allows you to stay in the game because they don't go scoring 7, 8, 9, 10 runs and blow you out. So it's an interesting matchup in my mind. I think the right side's Detroit, the better pitcher, but on the same side of that, Chicago is the better offense. So I just left that one alone. I'm not touching this game. Miami and Houston. Junk is making his second start from the disabled list. And Ronel Blanco, a former no-hitter pitcher for the Astros, is making his season debut from being injured. I'm not betting a season debut pitcher, and I'm not going to bet a guy that's coming off the disabled list making his second start, and neither offense is going crazy. This is just a coin flip game and see what happens. But I will say this, if Miami wants to stay in this hunt, they need to win these games. So we'll see what happens there. Washington against Freeland. It's interesting that Freeland has numbers the way he does. He has a 3.30 xFIP and a 3.28 Sierra number. That's better than Alvarez. And he pitches in Colorado. And he's normally getting rocked all over the place. So how did he get there? Well, His strikeout rate's 24.5. Alvarez is 24.2. His walk rate is 1.6. That's how he got there. He didn't walk anybody. And then you look at Alvarez. His is 13%. He's going to put guys on base. That's bad. Home run rate. Alvarez has 0, and Freeland has 1.23. So the pitchers are pretty close. With really, because Freeland doesn't walk guys, you got to hit to get on base. Well, I don't think that really bothers Washington. That they're not in the game to go walk, even though they take their walks. They want to hit. So anyhow, I think people are going to go crazy trying to bet on Washington in this game. I think it's going to be pretty competitive. I think I don't know what Alvarez not a big. He gets some swing and miss. He's not a high velocity guy. He throws a lot of curveballs. He throws a lot of sliders, a lot of breaking stuff anyway, stuff with spin on it. I don't know, if Washington's hitting, but sometimes Colorado can go out and throw a bunch of runs up too. Just ask the Padres; they can score. So they stayed off that. My favorite play of the whole game day, and I didn't bet it, but my favorite play of the whole day is this one. The A's isn't playing the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have a guy named Pratt pitching. So I know this is his third time starting. So I go back and I look. He's only pitched 3 innings both times. And then when they took him out of the game, it's bullpen. So there's a bullpen game. You can't judge a 9-inning game on a 3-inning pitcher. So you gotta take this whole thing and go, Arizona, let me use your bullpen data as opposed to the starting pitcher data. And on the other side, Springs is probably the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball. His xFIP number, 6.35. 6.3, that's 6 runs, guys. And then 604 is his Sierra number. That's god awful. His RE24 score is -10. He's a pummel pitcher. He's the elite looking. I'm a pummel pitcher guy. He doesn't strike guys out. His strikeout rate is 11. No, its strikeout rate is 17. 17. Okay, that's kind of an average number. But his walk rate's 15. Are you kidding me? He walks nearly as many as he strikes out. His home run rate is 3.38. 3.38 home runs in a game. That's not very good. So I think that Arizona, who doesn't normally hit, has started to hit a little bit. If I looked at their hitting numbers, Arizona's hitting numbers, they rank 12th. They're scoring 5.9 runs a game. I'll take that against this terrible-ass pitcher. Question becomes do you really want to play a favorite like the Diamondbacks on a bullpen day? All it takes is one bad bullpen piece and it blows up the whole game. So I decided not to. And especially when I decided not to bet the other games, and I thought, well, shit, I'm not going to bet this game if I'm not going to bet some of these other ones. So I stayed off of it. But in my opinion, I think Arizona is the best bet on the board today. I think they beat the A's. And then the last game, well, I guess there's 2 more. But Seattle, you can't bet Seattle because they don't score any runs. They're 3.1 runs. And you know who the best offense in baseball is right now? It's Cincinnati, number 1. Do you know they have hit 21 home runs in the last 8 games? That's like holy cow. And there's no way you're going to get me to go and say I want to bet on Seattle, and especially Kirby. He's got great numbers, but he always loses. And then St. Louis and L.A., and this was interesting because St. Louis is a small dog. If they were hitting at all, I would be on St. Louis. They're not hitting. They rank 25th in offense. 80 is their weighted runs created plus, so 20% worse than an average offense. 7 runs worse than an average offense. So I can't support that. But I will say Leahy made some changes. So Leahy, since he's made these changes, doesn't lose his games he pitches. He's a sneaky guy that nobody knows about. You bet Leahy's what you do. But I didn't do it. Leahy, so he's a game score of 57. Leahy, 57 in his last 7 starts. I bet people don't know that, and that's because they look at Leahy and go, yeah, he's that relief pitcher that they stretched out and blah blah blah. Well, he found a pitch, and since he found that pitch, he's getting guys out and doing really well. So anyway, that's my thoughts on tonight's games. I apologize, I didn't have any bets for anybody, but anyway, I have some leans, I guess. There you go, Jeff. That's what I got.
Interesting board for sure. A lot of interesting matchups. You go back to that Detroit and the Cubs minus 115 in the series. And I was looking at tomorrow's matchups and I was trying to dig. And I guess I'll ask you this, as you just said, Flaherty has been pitching a lot better. Here comes Tyon. Under over for the full game, Scotty, 11.5. So it's almost setting you up. First one to 6, maybe first one to 7 has to win this game. I think the way I read the market, you know how I read. I don't have the weather report in front of me, but my point is they're kind of begging for the under there, and I'm expecting fireworks here. Tigers, good start after the break. We've talked all along. We both think the Tigers are going to come back and find a way to win that division. Scooble will stick and stay. Bats aren't like they were before Scooble got hurt, when they were scoring a lot of runs and winning games. And here come the Cubs that, in the blink of an eye can score a field goal every inning if they're, getting the situational hitting. I found it kind of odd. The under-over was 11.5 on that game, Scotty.
Yeah, I think, if you're thinking about the over in that spot and then thinking that it's going to go that way, I don't think there's any reason why you can't think that way. That the Cubs are hitting, they're not bad. The Cubs offense right now is ranked 8th. The Cubs are ranked 8th. They're scoring over 5 runs a game. The what's interesting about Detroit is they're scoring 4 runs a game, but they rank 19th in offense. Well, that's because their isolated power is 10th. So their damage that they do when they do start hitting the ball is pretty good. So they are minus 3 runs to an average offense, and the Cubs are plus 5. So that tells you, okay, well, the Cubs are hitting, blah, 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 all that stuff. But then you go and say, well, what the hell is Tyon? Well, I wanted to bet against him. I hate those kind of guys like Tyon and the guy the Dodgers signed from the Blue Jays. Those kind of guys. And then I looked at Tyon. He's a game score 44 on the season. He can get blown up, but what's interesting with him is he does get more swing and miss than you think, and he doesn't walk guys. So you got to hit the ball. You got to put the ball in play, and where Flaherty comes into play, he's a 30.8 strikeout guy right now. Like, he's striking out everybody. And what was his big problem? Walks. That hasn't changed. It's 9%. That's still high. It's still red. That's still ugly. He puts guys on base, but he doesn't give up home runs. And right now, the batting average against him right now is 123. Well, that's ridiculous. And then his whip rate, because the guys aren't getting on base via hits. If they get on base, it's basically because he put them there. His whip rate is 0.78. That's hard to win when you don't get guys on base against this pitcher. So, and he's striking a lot of guys out. So that doesn't give your defense a bunch of opportunities to make errors. And then I thought, well, I don't know. It just looks to me like it's a confusing spot for me. I like Detroit. I think Detroit they have way more to play for than what Chicago does. Chicago's trying to keep Pittsburgh behind them. And if you listen to them, they'll tell you, well, we're trying to catch Milwaukee. No, you're not. You're not going to catch Milwaukee. but you got to stay up there, right? You got to stay up there. So you're really just trying to hold off all these other guys coming up behind you. So I don't know. Tyone's just not going to get it for me. I think an over type spot maybe. Tyon. And the other spot was Flaherty. Flaherty over his last 7 starts is a game score of 59. Over his last 3 starts, it's a 66. So it's pretty consistent, pretty good. But both all ace type stuff. For the season, he's a 48. 48, below average pitcher. But his last stretch here has been dominantly good. The question becomes, and I didn't go deep into this, so the question becomes is he doing something different to create this, or is this just a good run for him? Sometimes you can tell by BABIP. His BABIP number is 167, Jeff. So that means when a ball is put in play, the batting average is 167. Well, that's unsustainable. You can't have that. So at some point, that's going to flip. He's going to get blown away because you can't stay at 167 on balls in play. That's going to change. I write that one of my programs tells me, has a flag that comes out when it says deserved high BABIP score. And what that means is, well, when you look at that, typically you go, well, he's got a high BABIP, so it's going to come down. Well, sometimes the guy's got high BABIP because he ain't got good stuff and he just gets hit. So I wrote a program in here that basically checks that and goes, nope, this guy's a deserved high BABIP pitcher. He's going to continue to get hit. For example, one of those guys is the only one today is Bryce Elder. Bryce Elder's been bad. His BABIP's terrible. And you go, well, that's going to change. Well, it's not going to change if you don't throw well. His stuff plus is an 83. His pitching plus is a 91. That's not good. He's going to continue to get hit. So I think that there's some validity to the idea that at some point, I'm not sure it's this game, but it could be, he's due to go this way. Flaherty's ready to go, but I don't know when it's going to be. The Cubs are hitting, so we'll see if that goes tonight. And I kind of like the idea that the Tigers are going to hit Tyon. If you told me the worst team in baseball, like Toronto on offense, was going to hit Tyon, I'd agree with that too. So, I would probably disagree with you and I going up there hitting Tyon, but we might.
Shout out to PB. Shout out to Kenny Magna, Rocket Sauce, the rest of the ECSI family, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance, everyone out there. Thank you. We're back tomorrow and Wednesday. Me and Scotty again will be back at 5:15 p.m. Tomorrow morning, 10:30. Andrew McGinnis from Wager Talk will be here. Talk some CFL, talk some MLB. Wednesday, Blaine Davis from Wagebird will be here at 10:05. Thursday, 10:05, Matthew George live from New York City will be here to talk some NBA, some WNBA, some Summer League, and some New York sports. Me and Scotty will figure out what's going on for Thursday and Friday, of course. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Do yourselves a favor. Head on over to Webby20 MLB on X. Follow Scotty. Then click the link. Join the Substack. Just drop your email, set it, and forget it. Behave yourselves. Stay tuned, and see you at 5:15 tomorrow. And if you're up in the morning, be here at 10:32. Stay tuned.